Hey everyone, I just wanted to give you an update on the P. Diddy trial. I said when his homes got raided last year that I did not want to call him Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, or anything like that because it's stupid and it's not his real name. The jury did find him guilty of prostitution. Now, in federal court, he's in federal court because all the charges happened across state lines. What's interesting is that he was acquitted of racketeering, which is conspiracy, and sex trafficking, the biggest ones. Domestic violence, his coming into play is factoring into his bail hearing, which was just wrapping up, I think. And I follow this guy on YouTube, Murad Merali. He's like a celebrity vlogger, and he was at the trial, and he said the judge just denied Sean Combs' bail. He was in the cafeteria next to Sean Combs' mother, who said, "My baby's coming home today," and the judge disagreed. The judge took what the defense had said earlier in court regarding how he's a risk of violence because of the tape, the video showing him beating and kicking Cassie Ventura. So because of that, the judge said he was denying bail. And there seems to be a lot of kind of anger. Murad Merali who was in the courtroom, said that Sean Combs visibly changed. He had originally thanked the jury with all his heart, and when the judge denied bail, because saying he had two reasons. One, he had been denied bail before, and two, because his own defense team had admitted that he was a risk for recommitting violence. This has caused kind of pandemonium, if you want to look at it like a movie. So I do think that finding him not guilty of conspiracy or RICO, as well as sex trafficking, is a big blow to the testimony of Cassie and Jane, who were both his girlfriends, who had both been shown in the court. The jury agreed as being forced to have sex with others, being prostituted out. But their testimony about trafficking, the jury did not agree, and so acquitted him. It's interesting because I was also listening to an attorney who was talking about this, saying that the Mark Garofalo, I think his name is, the defense had actually defended the NXIVM founder, who was it was a sex cult, and he had women who were influencing other women to be branded and involved in sexual activities against their will, I guess. Now this defense, the same defense, was used trying to put the witnesses, the female witnesses, in a bad light to discredit their testimony. That did not work with the NXIVM founder, but it did work here with Sean Combs, meaning that Cassie and Jane, they were discredited in what they said about sex trafficking in RICO because of Cassie's text messages that said that she was looking forward to it. She said, when we both want it. I'm looking forward to a freak-off when we both want it. All of that seems to have figured in to the jury being unwilling to convict Sean Combs of the sex trafficking and conspiracy, or RICO. So now, even though each sentence of prostitution, each conviction of the prostitution charge carries a maximum of 5 years, down to 0. We don't know what the judge is going to do with that, I guess, yet, but he did deny Sean Combs bail, which makes me think he might be not so lenient with a sentence on those two charges. This seemed to be a happy moment for Sean Combs in the beginning of the bail hearing. Now, not so much. And personally, having read the book by Kim Porter, who was his longtime partner and had his children, his twins and one other, Christian, I think, as well as her son Quincy from her marriage to Al B. Shore, R&B singer Al B. Shore, not his real name. all of that, Kim Porter's book was published posthumously. It's available on Amazon, and I read it by listening to someone read it on YouTube. But it covers so much more than prostitution, and I think whatever side of the ideological spectrum you're on, you thought he was really going to be put away for a very, very long time, given all of the things that had come out in the media. Well, as someone who studied the law, almost went to law school, I don't think it's good to convict anyone in the media. However, when things are suppressed, like Kim Porter's book, which is what I was concerned about, then you're not really dealing with a full deck. And then when you have a federal trial, which is not allowed to be broadcast, you're also dealing with interpreters who are telling you what they heard and saw. Kim Porter passed away, I believe, at the end of 2018. We know from her book, which is alleged, right, that he did have someone go into her computer and find her book. She was able to have it uploaded in the cloud, kind of like a dead man's switch. She claimed that anyone she tried to date after she split with him mysteriously died of pneumonia. It sounds very outlandish. She also claimed that Sean Combs was a very vindictive, violent person who used hitmen, and even used hitmen on Christopher Wallace, Biggie Smalls, the rapper from New York, as well as Tupac, that he actually instigated a beef between those two rappers. Instead of, them being guilty of have their teams, their gangs killing each other, or people, little smaller players involved, that it was Sean Combs. Then we have the guy who was picked up at Mar-a-Lago, who claimed that he was involved. He was one of the male prostitutes who would go and service the freak-offs, and he claimed that Diddy was part of a larger group. And I don't really know how much I want to say on Facebook, but all I'm saying is I was surprised. I just heard that bail was denied on account of potential for violence. I could see this man, if all of this is true, being quite vindictive once he gets out, or once he would be given bail. Also time served, he's been in for quite a while. Maybe, I think I heard 11 months. But this Kim Porter book, it raised so many questions. I mean, to me, having listened to both Tupac and the notorious B.I.G., Biggie Smalls, aka Christopher Wallace, and enjoyed their artistry, and then having them cut down in their prime, none of this was even explored at all. But to me, I've always felt that this is very similar to a lot of the information that comes out about from the intel agencies, the feds, the whole federal system is very shadowy. And a lot of times if someone gets caught and roped in or hauled in to be held accountable in court, what is executed is what's called a limited hangout. And a limited hangout would be obviously things have come out that you can't unsee, you can't unsubmit as evidence. And so what you do is you try your best to pin it on just the person that is being tried and being investigated, not on any other larger group that was involved in either intimidation of artists and/or / Hollywood, or influential people in both the entertainment and the political world. And the limited hangout kind of cuts it off right there, cauterizes the wound, and then anyone else involved doesn't get any more scrutiny. The acquittal is, to me, a blow to the Me Too movement and to justice in general. The evidence that the FBI seized from all of his homes, I said in the beginning, a year ago, that, as we saw with Epstein, this evidence was actually being seized, to mean a blow to the Me Too movement and to justice in general. The evidence that the FBI seized from all of his homes, I said in the beginning, a year ago, that, as we saw with Epstein, this evidence was actually being seized to hold on to not let get out. Yeah, folks, this is where I'm at. But now we've got a situation where the jury thinking maybe, okay, now I'm thinking we're going to have riots because it's not that I feel the feds use people. People are expendable, but it's not just people who are black and brown. It's anyone who got roped in the federal system early on in their lives. And so if there was rioting, I could see it being justified simply because only Diddy has been hauled in. He acted with impunity. The police, as Kim Porter said in her book, you can't go to the police. You couldn't go to the police. I would recommend everybody read the book Chaos. I forget the name of the author, but it's about the Charles Manson murders. And it discusses real facts about all of that. The Charles Manson influenced murders of Sharon Tate and her friends, her unborn baby, and the LaBianca family in Los Angeles. There's so much more to that case, but it'll give you a lot of insight. And believe it or not, 50 years later, more than 50 years later, you can still see parallels. So what exactly is going on here? Well, if Sean Combs is lucky, he'll get 0 to 10 years. He's already served 11 months. And then what next? Will anything else come out? Will the Epstein files come out? So read the book Chaos, read the book The Devil's Chessboard, which my brother actually did read. Has nothing really to do with Trump, but it will fill in your mental picture of what has been happening in our country for a long time without us knowing. Why police officers act with impunity. Why innocent people get killed a lot in the vicinity of police officers. And why some departments are much more in need of a house cleaning than not. And get back with me. I look forward to discussing this more. So hope we have a relatively peaceful 4th of July weekend, depending on where you are, depending on what city you're in. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to speaking with you very soon. Please leave your comments. Let me know your thoughts. See you soon. Bye-bye.